I didn't realize that I could just develop what I was already doing.
Right.
Because obviously you're not going to live, you're not going to live charging people $1 a drawing fee. But I really, it didn't occur to me that I could do it that way. I just thought it was just something I was doing. And nobody really caught onto it around me either, to say, hey, you should just keep doing that,
Right. Right. And I think that's the difference between today's access to information compared to the times when we were coming up. In that if the community or the schools or any part of the system, if it did not provide you that information or access, or someone who happened to cross paths with your art, then you're not gonna know about it. You're not gonna know that those things exist and that you can actually take some steps towards the goals that you didn't even know existed. That you actually want. That's what you want. So to ask, so let's find out tell us about what was the complete picture in your mind when you headed out to college? You wanted to get a job as an artist? You wanted to get a job in the comic books? What was the mindset? Because it sounds like you went to college.
Right. Okay, so here's what should have happened. I found out about the Joe Kubert School when I was because I went to community college first and took art classes. And learned how to paint a little bit, did a lot of figure drawing and stuff like that because I was stalling. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. What should have happened when I found out about the Joe Kubert School, which is in New Jersey, Dover, I think, I should have just went there. My mom was very supportive. I can't say that, my mom talked me out of going away to college. But I didn't do that because I was just afraid to leave my family. And so I was stalling. This is what I know now. I was stalling, and I knew that I needed to go to college. There wasn't a school like within driving distance that I could find that had an art degree that was like an illustration degree or like, obviously, now there are schools where you can go learn to make comics and, hopefully kind of plug yourself into the comic book industry. But I didn't know how to do it. So there was no illustration schools near me either. But I found out that John Byrne, his degree was a painting degree. He has a degree in painting and drawing. And the school that I wound up going to, that's what I majored in. So I went to University of North Texas, and I got a painting degree. I was not interested in painting, D. I did that because I was like, well, maybe if I just go to college and I get this degree, because I knew I didn't want to work in advertising. I knew I didn't want to be like all these kind of things. People were always throwing this stuff at me. And I knew I didn't want to do that. A painter, what I thought of that getting an art degree like that would teach me would be an independent artist. And that I would be that. Like I would somehow grow into it. Because I didn't know how it worked, you know what I mean? But I knew that what I wanted was to be an artist, And when I got to school, I don't know if I even intended to do all that, but I was like, I'm here now, I'm going to graduate. I'm going to get my degree. And I fell in love with painting somewhere along the way. I mean, I wasn't really necessarily that interested in painting, but again, John Byrne had a degree in painting, so it would be okay. I would get there. I would be somewhere like drawing a really dope, drawing on a napkin, and Stan Lee will walk behind me and look over my shoulder and see it and say Excelsior, come work at Marvel. Like I didn't know how it worked, but I knew. Yeah, so I was really not, operating off of no workable plan. But, I was doing what I knew, what I could think of to do that didn't terrify me. In fact, one of the reasons I went to the school that I went to, one, the community college teachers recommended it because it had the best art program in Texas that was not like the Art Institute or something like that. Because I wanted to go to university. Because I wanted to be well-rounded. You know, that was my thing. I wanted to get a degree. And I was like, they recommended this school, but I didn't even decide to go then. Then one of my best friends, he was going there he had already, like, applied and been accepted and all that. He was going to an orientation. And I went with him. Mm-hmm. Well, I went there, and it was college. You know, there was women there. Everything was fun. It was great. You know, all these people running around, and it looked cool. And we visited the art program, and it was a major university art program. You know, I saw all the stuff they had, and you know, the art that the students were making, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna fit in here. And I applied and was accepted because I was good already. You know, so that's the thing. Like by the time I went to college, I was already good. You know, I could draw comics probably already on a professional-ish level, you know, and I could paint already, you know, like because I had 2 years of community college, and I had they let you do all these electives and stuff in the community college, so I took all figure drawing with all my electives. Like you could make your own program. So I could draw people. Like people were like when I applied, they were impressed. Like I could draw people because to me, that's what as a comic book artist you need to be able to draw people. You need to be able to draw stuff and perspective and so on. You know. So and the standards of what was acceptable in comics are always shifting around. So it's like this. By the time I went to college, it was splash pages and stuff, and so I was like, I could do that. You know. I didn't know anything about like the storytelling and stuff of comics, but because I didn't go to a school that teaches that. But so I went to college, and while I was there, I got a painting degree. I almost changed my degree. I changed my degree twice, but not officially. Like I was like, well, maybe I'll study fashion, and then at one point I was like, well, I don't know how pragmatic this is. I'll study to be an art teacher, which would have been wise, but again, I never claimed to have any sense, and so I didn't do that because that's when I really fell in love with painting. I took a watercolor class and an acrylic class in the same semester, and I loved both of them. And so, if I would have went with a different major, those were like kind of the intro classes, and that would have been it. And I would have went on to like the kind of academia. Instead, I stayed in the painting program, which at North Texas is very vigorous. And I graduated eventually, And so, I don't, but I often tell people, and I don't know how much, and I listened to interviews that he did with my friend Mike Lagaki, and he said the same thing. North Texas is a great program, and it's a fabulous school, but I don't know how much an art degree really will teach you. You will learn how to paint, or you won't. You know what I mean? Like you could do that. Like a lot of the benefit that you get from going to college is who are the other students. That's why people that go to Harvard do well. Not because Harvard teach you any kind of special knowledge you can't learn nowhere else. I mean, maybe the teachers are better, but they're not that much better. You're going to read books. Books are public. The reason that kids that go to Harvard do so well is because they go to school with people who went to Harvard. And it's like the people that they go to school with are placed in places and have relatives and are already well connected when they get there. And so, that I wouldn't take away me going to North Texas, or if I did, my career, who knows where it would be. I mean, if I did, I would just go to Joe Kubert. I don't know if SCAD, the other Savannah College Art and Design, I don't know if they were around yet at that time because I'm kind of old, but I don't. But I would have went to a school for comics, and if I went to college, I might have, if I really could know what I know now, I'd have just started a business. Started a business in high school, and By the time I got through community college, I'm sure I would have figured it out, or I would have got took business classes to, have it figured out, and then just, just make money and do whatever I want, that kind of thing. But
so the whole point of you going to college though was because you were looking for ways, exploring the ways in which you could enter the comic book world.
Right.
Basically.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The best thing about me going to North Texas, and I say this all the time, is that I met the other guys in my crew, and my wife. I met my wife in North Texas too. So, so my life, that's my adult life. That's where I got it from. So it's, but again, like the school is just a place at that point. As a student, you have to, and this is what I know that's different than what I know now. You have to really it's your job to squeeze every drop out of whatever you do in life. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to go to college, you're going to pay them a lot of money, go in debt probably. It is your responsibility to squeeze every bit of advantage that you can get out of it. Because it's very possible that I could have went to the Joe Kubert school, the thing that, you say, oh, that would make my life different. But if I was as lazy and unfocused as I was then, I might not have got nothing out of that. You know what I mean? So, it's really your responsibility. I tell people all the time that life is a puzzle, and it's designed for you to be able to get something out of it with what you have, and it's your job to unlock stuff, to figure out, how does what I have interact with what's around me and make me successful, because it's not very many people that just can't be successful from where they are with what they have. Not in America. People go to prison, right? Study books on stuff while they're in there and get out already with businesses in their head. It's systems around us, and it's just, one of the things that I think when I'm critical of education, one of the things that it does is our education system is designed to produce employees in an industrial economy where all they need is obedience and some skills or whatever. Like teach you some skills, but what they really need is obedience. Do you show up on time? Do you do this? Do you do that? Do you obey?
Yeah.
When somebody tells you what to do you do it, even if it's stupid? Because they don't need you thinking about nothing. They need you doing what you're told, busy work or whatever. And so that system it isn't gone, but it's kind of gone. You know what I mean? Like, it's not totally gone. You're not necessarily going to get anywhere. I won't say very likely. That's not fair. I don't know everything, but you're not necessarily going to get anywhere just being a good employee anymore. Because companies kind of go, you know what I mean? Like, in all the, like, if you, my friend Khalid, his dad was one of the first black people hired by IBM. He worked there my whole life, and then he retired. So he worked there like 40 years, and retired. Same company. Progressively raised his cost of living, invented stuff at the company, made the company wealthy. They rewarded him for his work. Probably spent most of his career working for bosses that appreciated him and recognized his, talent and the contribution that he made. In the Wall Street era, the people who own your company can't even see you. You know what I mean? So if you pour everything into this company that you are, everything that, God or the universe, whatever you believe in, evolution, whatever, everything that is given to you, you pour into that company, they're going to downsize that company eventually. And everything you did might not matter to whoever pulls the trigger, because the middle